Truth About Trovato.com proudly presents Commissioner Herb Zischkau in his own words, discussing the poor job performance of George Trovato.
I move to suspend the city attorney from his duties as city attorney for failure to adequately perform the duties for which he was hired, and for not acting ethically in performance of his duties as city attorney.
Second.
I have a motion. I have a second.
There's two main issues here. I mean, I'd like to cite once again Commissioner McFall-Conti's detailed responses to the job performance appraisal questions. I think that was above and beyond the call of duty, and I think it is, complete with tabbed attachments. It's a rich source of detail. But I think that, and the reason why I didn't use the job performance appraisal questions is that our problems with city attorney are much more basic than, the niceties of rating someone on a 1 to 5 scale. When someone just doesn't do the job that they're hired to do, it's difficult to give them a positive rating at all. And I've mentioned before that Attorney Trovato does get something right every once in a while, but I find that he has not made the effort to grow into this job. He was hired improvidently and over my advice to the commission with only 3.5 years of experience as a Florida attorney. I would have expected someone in his position as a newly admitted attorney to work hard in preparing himself, to be fully prepared for every meeting, to look at the agenda ahead of time, to know what questions need to be answered if he's asked about our legal options. Every time we have a meeting, we have to make choices, and we have to be informed about what our legal options are. And in the case of the February 16th resolution that Mayor Mulder promoted in his 20-minute presentation, we needed a city attorney that was able to advise not only Mayor Mulder, as the mayor said, he was advised ahead of time by the city attorney, in which the city attorney has denied anything but reference to the reimbursement of costs. And we should have been hearing, each of us should have been hearing the same advice from Mr. Trovato that he gave to the mayor before that meeting, and we didn't. The main thing that I have had a problem with, besides the lack of respect accorded to anyone in the minority on this commission by Mr. Trovato, is his outright refusal to give me copies of the legal opinions that he has personally authored since November of 2007. As few as they are, I would have expected that to be rather easy. And instead, he has tried to bill me for the time researching it, had his paralegal invite me in to go through their files to find them, and all sorts of evasive stratagems that are unworthy of a public servant. And then at the last meeting, it wasn't the most previous meeting, but the one before, in which I raised this issue, Mr. Trovato insisted that personally authored meant over 100 opinions that had been generated by his department, because he said everything was a team effort and that therefore he had a hand in the authorship of every legal opinion that came out of the city attorney's office. And that was obviously false, because the only written opinion I've ever received from Mr. Trovato was one that was addressed by his assistant to him. It wasn't even addressed to me. It was just sent to me afterwards. Mr. Trovato, and this would be absurd. I couldn't have made this story up, that a city attorney would refuse to give copies of his opinions. If they're not keeping track of the opinions of the city attorney's office that are signed off by the city attorney, and it requires research, or it requires asking a commissioner to come in and find them in the files, they're not keeping track of their documents either. Law firms and city governments and county governments know exactly where their opinions are. The Attorney General's office doesn't have this problem. You go online and you do a search, and you pull the Attorney General's opinions right up in a few minutes on any subject that you care to request. So it shouldn't be this difficult for Mr. Trovato to manage his office, to be able to come up with the opinions. So I suspect that the reason that he steadfastly refused is because he hasn't personally authored any legal opinions in the time more than a year since he's been city attorney. And if that's a mistake on my part, a mistaken impression on my part, I mean, he should do his duty and come up with those opinions and do his legal duty under the rules regulating the Florida bar, which requires not only a minimal competence by an attorney that accepts a job, but also the willingness to communicate with his client, which Mr. Trovato has steadfastly failed to do.
Is this who you want to represent you? If not,
say hell no to Trovato.
visit our website, truthabouttrovato.com.